falling in love with a woman who, has caused a lot of problems for his life, for the White House, for, and there are many examples of the things that's the worst of it, which I've really struggled with, frankly, as an actor. There's this insane decision in the last season to go to war to try and free Olivia. That was hard to make sense of for me. But, I trusted Shonda, so I justified it. But that was because he was so in love with Olivia and felt that the world was a better place. Olivia in it would benefit in the long term, and he knew that he would be completely ineffective if he'd allowed them to chop her head off. So he did, the sort of Helen of Troy thing, which was idiotic, frankly. But he's a guy who really does struggle. I strive to come from his heart and does not make decisions for political necessity, and frankly has been outraged and betrayed when those around him have done so. When they stole the first election on his behalf, and this awful thing that happened that Melly did, when he kicked her out of the White House at the end of last season, and Cyrus as well. He's been trying to tell the truth and to be honest, which is what he's always wanted to do, and I feel that as a positive quality, to own up to his mistakes, own up to what he has done. And everyone's like, you can't be honest, well, they'll bring the house down. And finally this season, he's been able to throw down and say, this is the truth. Let's just put it out there. Because if we do that, then we have a chance. And everybody else, including Olivia, has said, we can't do it. And then she's sort of now kind of gotten on board with that, and it causes a lot of problems. But I think that is something I admire about him and identify with.
My name is Destiny. I have a question. How do you feel about more female directors having more opportunities to direct in TV shows and movies? Over the last 3 seasons of Scandal, we had Ava DuVernay and Regina King direct. How do you feel about how do you feel about female directors coming into Scandal and having that opportunity to do that?
Oh, I think it's hugely important, and it's a high priority at Shondaland, obviously. Right. As you mentioned, Ava DuVernay, Debbie Allen, Regina King. So we have so many, Chandra Wilson. Those are all women of color, but also Jan Turner, who did such a brilliant episode. We've had a lot of women directors and continue to. And I did the same thing when I produced The Divide. We really tried to find, and credit to AMC, they said, you are first, women and women of color are the first people on the list. We must do this. So it's there are so many great directors, and it's incumbent upon us. I wrote this piece in the Hollywood Reporter a few months ago on this very issue. And my point was, yes, it's the studios and the networks and the corporations that need to make this a priority, but it really is up to the creators of television and movies, because in the case of television, the producers hire the directors, and it's incumbent upon us to say, where's the talent, who can we develop? How, and Shonda really works hard at it and makes it, or Shonda and Betsy make it a real priority. So we're far from there yet, but there's been some improvement, but it's still a travesty what's going on in our industry on every level.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of your career has been spent on passion projects, it seems like, really important storytelling. And with something like The Divide, which was such a passion project for you that you created, do you see yourself doing something like that again, where you're actually creating something and using your, status and celebrity as a platform for a message?
Yeah, to some degree. My grandfather, Sam Goldwyn, used to say, if you want a message, go to Western Union. But, I guess for me, I feel very lucky that, so I will only tell a story if I feel that it's really entertaining and it dramatically works. I tend to be really compelled by stories that have a really strong social theme. So like in the case of The Divide, or the movie that came out of in my body of work was Conviction. The fact that those stories could shine a light on issues in our criminal justice system that could actually impact people's lives and, you know, people that are, and shift people's perspective about the possibility of wrongful conviction, that is a powerful thing, you know. But at the same way, you know, when I made A Walk on the Moon and can tell a story that makes people think about, you know, moral boundaries and the complications in marriage and infidelity and fidelity and what, you know, the things we sort of go, well, this is white and this is black and that's the way it is and must always be, you know, to shake those things up. I find that also really compelling. So yes, I do intend to do projects that have social relevance, but I find maybe it's more what I'm drawn to is emotional relevance. And then when I tap into something that can have a social impact, then I feel very lucky to be able to do that.
I've got one right here if you want to do that. Okay, so there have been a lot of questions about sort of more filmmaking questions in regards to that you're a director and an actor. If you have a preference between one or the other, or how you approach them differently, and then possibly if you are directing yourself, how you approach that.
Okay, which one should I grab? I don't have a preference. I love doing both. I feel really lucky to do both. The difference in approach between directing and acting is when I'm an actor, my job is to tell my character's story. So I look at it very much like, what's this character's story? That is the sole lens that I look at it, and anything else in the storytelling that I'm focused on is all how it impacts that character's perspective. I always, even if I'm playing a small part, I treat it as though this movie is about this character, or this play, or this television series, and that's how I approach it. As a director, my job is to look at the overview and very much the themes of the piece, and what is this story about? And then how does every single character's story contribute to that central theme of what it's about? You know, when you're a television director, it's a little bit different because I'm serving Shonda Rhimes when I'm directing Scandal, so I need to get into Shonda's head. What is important to Shonda? What is Shonda trying to talk about? What does she want thematically? So then all those characters, you know, contribute to that overall message. So I sort of have to divide I take one portion of the brain that would be my director brain as the movie director, and in television I'm kind of, you know, a chunk of that goes to the creator in television. It's a little bit different. Directing myself, it's a challenge, it's hard. The cool thing about it is it's challenging. It is because when I'm directing, it's not as hard as you would think, but because I'm taking an overview as the director of an episode, that I know I'm looking at the whole of the show and what Shonda's intention is and what all the characters, all the tributaries are going. I tend to have a sense of where Fitz needs to go as an actor, like what are the right choices for me to make in terms of how to play a scene. But where it gets very tricky is sometimes when I'm emotionally into a scene, I lose perspective, and I'm not quite sure I'm accomplishing what I want to accomplish, and I either have to just trust my instincts and go, well, I just got to trust myself that I'm there, or in the case of Scandal, I'm very lucky because we have a lot of collaborators who can help me out with that. Tom Barrica is invaluable, is a great director, and you know, is one of our executive producers and is an intimate part of the show. And Tom's an actor. I often will ask Tom to come to set when I'm doing a difficult scene and go, just keep an eye on this. And he'll sometimes give me a really helpful comment that will improve my performance. So, or just go, yep, you're right on track. That's working fine. So that's a luxury I have on Scandal that I might not have on other projects. So yeah.